Hello, I'm LisaKay,
And I'm Taylor Cole Longacre.
and this is
Intentional Talk.
This is a show that cares and brings positives to the air.
So we've already been laughing a lot because we are with Chris Hartley. He is the Vice President of Sales for Hovnanian, and I'm going to mispronounce it over and over again. K-Hov, we'll just say K-Hov.
K-Hov.
But you might know that cute little jingle, Hovnanian Homes. Anyway.
You said
it. You got it.
This man has 17 years of experience in new home sales and has worked at several different brands. And he is a highly sought after public speaker. LisaKay and I, as you know, love professional speakers and to work with them. He has also been heavily involved with the American Cancer Society. He runs marathons. He's a dad. And he's our new bestie. So
Yes.
So welcome to
Thank
Intentional
you.
Talk.
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Now, we could delve all into the home sales process and all the cool things about it,
Yeah.
but you're actually interested in talking with us about mental health and mindset,
Yes.
which is always something timely.
Yeah, so I have two very close friends, and LisaKay and I were able to go to lunch beforehand. I didn't even fill her into this. Relatively recently, that had committed suicide. And it is actually the second leading cause for, well, a lot of ages, actually, and men suffer from it deeply. And so it's something that I became very passionate about understanding a little bit more. And as the world continues to move on, and we were talking about social media, I don't have Facebook. I have LinkedIn, and that's the only thing that I have. And that is a personal choice that I've always made. I've never had Facebook. It's because I didn't want to have the feeling of missing out or thinking that my
FOMO.
life was not as good as somebody else's.
Yeah.
And so many things in life occur to all of us where we compare ourselves against others, where we're constantly feeling like we need to do more or we are not worthy. Now, both situations of both of my friends who did commit suicide, very different reasons and very sad stories. But it's not an uncommon story because the statistic is that 56% of men who commit suicide actually have no history of any sort of mental health issues.
Wow.
And so for me personally, I have never been in a situation where I contemplated committing suicide or anything of that nature, but I have been in situations where I have felt not worthy, where I felt like I couldn't breathe, where I felt like I wasn't good enough for where I was in life or that something was missing. And I have a really great life. I really do. And I'm very blessed in so many different ways. So if I'm struggling with these things, others are obviously struggling with these things.
Definitely.
And how can we make this better and how can we talk about it? Because most of the time when people struggle with something like that, the last thing they're going to do is talk about it.
And I
Exactly.
imagine, Chris, you place yourself around a number of high achievers. You're a high achiever, 40 under 40, and all these great accolades. But I do know that many of us will wear a mask and will hide behind all the great pictures and the things that are happening in our lives and not share, and especially for men.
Yeah. Well, I love that you actually brought that up, the fact that I'm connected to a lot of powerful people, because I am, and I've intentionally have done so. And so where I started my public speaking career, well, I've been speaking publicly for a long time, but it has always been about home building or about technology and home building. In 2019, I was given a really special opportunity by the editor of Professional Builder magazine to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about in front of several hundred people. And I was really struggling internally at that time. And so I just came up with the topic, and it was self-reflection. And the topic of self-reflection, and really any of my speaking that I do, it's generally about something that I'm struggling with personally. And so when somebody says, what do you want to talk about? Contentment, gratitude, imposter syndrome, mental health, whatever it is that's weighing on me heavily at that time, I'm going to research it, read a lot about it, listen a lot about it, talk to other people about it, and just try to better understand it. And then I want to try to talk about it for other people so that they can feel comfortable talking about it.
What a great idea.
So when it came across to self-reflection, I gave a speech to the 40 under 40 crowd in San Francisco. And when I won 40 under 40 in 2018, I sat there with 39 other individuals, and I looked around and said, I don't belong in this group. I am not worthy to be here with these people.
Wow.
I'm not good enough. I haven't accomplished enough. Look at what this person has done. Look what that person has done. And I just did not appreciate where I was. And so when I had the opportunity to speak about self-reflection, I stood up in front of this new group of 40 under 40, and I said, last year I sat in this chair, and I did not feel worthy to be here. But what I recognize is that this award has just been a platform to take me to where I need to be, or for what I felt to be worthy to be here. And so what I wanted to instill in the audience at that time was that this is a small moment in life that should not define you. It should be the step that launches you. So if you are 40 under 40, and a lot of them are a lot younger than 40, don't make this the highlight of your life. Don't make this the highlight of your career. This is the start. And so it triggered me at that moment during this speech that I needed to be the best version of myself I could be at all times. Now, what I had done is I had reached out to all 40 members that had won 40 under 40 that year and reached out to their families. And I said, I want to get you on a 30-second video clip telling me and telling the audience what the winner has meant to you and your family. And so I would talk about my story, talk about it from birth and how I grew up. And then I would show a quick 5 to 6 people clip of their families telling them what they meant to them.
Oh,
and
my
then kept going on
God.
and
Isn't that
on.
wonderful?
Wow.
And so it was an hour-long speech, and everybody was in tears. And at the end of it, the editor of Professional Builder magazine, her name's Denise Dearson, she stood up and she goes, wow, I don't think any of us ever saw that coming out of you. Because up until that moment, I was the guy that talked about technology and home building. I was not the guy that stood up and said, I have personally struggled in my life and felt that I was not worthy to be in this chair. And for somebody to have the guts, so to speak, to stand up there and say that I didn't feel good enough to be here, but yeah, I'm going to turn that around, I'm going to make something of myself, became a very powerful platform. And then from that moment on, really 2019 on, I hardly ever talk about home building. It's generally talking about something that is weighing heavily upon me. Now, it may be to home builders or to other people, or the connection is there, but the story really started in 2019 where I came out and said, I'm struggling. And I needed to voice my struggles with you guys here personally, because by studying my struggle, I've been a better person.
Yes.
And that's where, and so the mental health, to kind of answer your question, the company that I was with for a long period of time, 2012 to 2018, I had built my entire self around the image of the company. It was privately held. I was one of the first employees that was there. And so throughout the country, I was known as the person that worked here. And that was my baby. That was my company. It was my definition. It defined me. And so when we sold the company in December of 2018 for $65 million. Now, I did not have any ownership in that company. I wish that I did.
Ask for a
Big
loan,
mistake.
or a
Big mistake.
gift.
I had lost a sense of my self-identity. And I was stripped.
I could see that.
Now, I had a year contract with this new home builder to stay around for a year before I was going to get my bonus for hanging out. So I knew I had to hang out. But in that year, I became extremely depressed that everything I built my entire self around was no longer there. The name of the company wasn't on the sign anymore. It wasn't on the pins. It wasn't anywhere to be found. And I became a very sad and depressed person. I have always been one of those people that had zero turnover on my team because I led with my heart. I love my team fully. I know everything about my team.
Lead with your heart. I caught that.
And this new company came in, and they're a great organization. It didn't matter who. I just wanted to be. It wouldn't have mattered who bought us, but the fact that it was not what I had worked so hard for, that's what affected me. It had nothing to do with the company, the leadership, and they were all great people. And so one of the gals on my team, her name was Lindsay Bryce, and she handed me a book, and it was by David Goggins, and it's called Can't Hurt Me. Now, this book has a lot of profanity. I'm just going to warn for whoever reads it, but it was a life-changing book to me. And it was about this gentleman who is a Navy SEAL. He's a Green Beret. He's accomplished so much in his life. He's an ultramarathoner. Like, he holds every major physical accomplishment you can possibly have. The guy is just an insane human. And inside of that book, he talks about the fact that when we think we can no longer take anymore, we are only 40% there. So when you're struggling mentally, you're 40% there. When you're struggling physically, you're 40% there. The mind, if conditioned properly, can truly overcome any obstacle.
You have much more capacity than you think you do.
Way more than you do. And so we have a mutual friend. Her name is Rhonda Conger, and Rhonda Conger is a phenomenal human. She has this quote, and I don't even know if it's hers, but she said, it wouldn't have been handed to you if you couldn't have handled it.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
It's an awesome quote, and it's so true, because it's the world is not going to put it on you. Nobody's going to put it on you if you really can't get past it.
I think once you've reached that 40% level, that a lot of people find the courage more. The more you fall, I feel like you find ways to start climbing. I hope I'm making sense there.
A lot do.
You find yourself.
And a lot clearly don't, though, right? I mean, if people kind of just fall by
Yeah.
the wayside and struggle with the depression that they do. And so she told me to read this book. And so I was reading this book and it just really hit me. And then it came to September of that year. And I know the date well because it was my birthday. And my boss had come into me and we were having a really poor month of sales. And he said, if you don't get to a certain number of sales, you need to go find something else to do. Now, I was very taken aback by that. I was hurt. I was frustrated. I was angry because I built the business that we were standing in. I felt like I, on my shoulders, along with others, got this place to where it was. For him to come in, we sold that to you. You obviously found value in me. For you to come in here and now threaten my position, I took it personally. And so what's interesting, and I go home, and I have been a runner, a marathoner, really since 2016. That's a story in itself. But I ran so much between 2016 to 2018 that after the Dallas Marathon in 2018, I just stopped. I needed a break. Now, this is September of 2019. I had not ran literally since the Dallas Marathon in 2018. And I get this race packet in the mail. I'd forgotten that I signed up for the Plano Balloon Festival. And I was like, oh, am I going to do this? Like 13.1 miles, no training, no practice, probably not real smart. But I was in such a negative headspace. I needed to change something about my life that I said, I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's going to be horrible, but I'm going to run it. Now I'd ran enough to where my times are pretty good, so I'm closer to the front. So I show up at that race, again, not running for 9 months, and in front of me walks a gentleman, a Marine, and the back of his shirt says, "Win the mental game." Which was the whole message of the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
I lost it.
That's like prophetic, yes.
I lost it. I was like,
That was a sign.
I looked around and I was like, who put this man in front of me?
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, my half marathon time is between 1 hour and 45 and 2 hours, so it's closer to the front. Now, knowing I hadn't ran in so long, there was no way I was going to finish in 1 hour and 45 to 2 hours. There's just no way. And this gentleman was very fit. But I followed him for 8 miles, kept up, step for step behind him because I just kept looking at the shirt, win the mental game, win the mental game, win the mental game. And I laughed and I cried and I smiled and I had all of the emotions, all of the emotions. Now, about mile 9, he took off and I almost passed out.
So he was second win.
Yeah, he got his second win. I did not. I still finished.
Yeah, he finished.
But I got home and it hit me that my mindset needed to change. My attitude needed to change. My team depended upon me. And why my team was struggling on the 20th of September was because I was not the leader that they deserved. And so I had gotten home, sent an email off to my team, and I just told them everything. I said, here are my struggles. Here's why I'm not the person that you deserve as your leader. And this is what I'm going to do to get better. And within those 10 days, we hit the sales we needed.
Wow.
Now, at that moment, I recognized that, one, your mind plays a powerful role in all that you do.
Yeah.
And that story, that book, was meant to be dropped in my lap by Lindsay on purpose. And the storyline was meant to be there. That man who wore that T-shirt was dropped in front of me for a reason.
Yes.
I strongly believe that because it changed and it cycled back my career. Because if I was going to go out, I refused to go out with a bad attitude.
Yeah,
I was going to go out with a smile on my face.
Yes.
That's right.
And that book and that mindset had changed me. And now you mentioned training for marathons. I'm actually training for an Ironman now.
Okay.
Because I just want to take it one step further.
And
Because I
what your
know in my
husband
mind.
My husband does American Ninja Warrior and obstacle courses, but yes,
Yeah, I'm nowhere near there.
It's all endurance.
Yeah.
It is all about endurance. Well, tell me about the gratitude part, because you have appeared that you've conquered some of the mental mindset pieces.
Yeah.
How do you get to the gratitude place?
I love gratitude. Like the simple act of saying thank you. So reading to my little girls all of the time. We read the Berenstain Bears nonstop.
I love the Berenstain
remember those.
Bears.
Yes, they're phenomenal. And it's the little words of thank you, please, and thank you. 3 little words, or just being appreciative of all things that you have.
We need more of it.
We need more of it.
Yeah.
And the thing is you can actually tie it to mental health and mental wellness too, is that all of us love to help people. Nobody loves asking for help, but we all love to help, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
So if you can wake up in the morning and say, how am I going to help somebody?
Yeah.
And then they show gratitude to
board.
what you did for their life, it is a game changer.
Yeah.
And so I had a phenomenal manager at Highland Homes when I first moved here in 2011. Her name was Amy Jones, and she's still there today. I will never forget when she left, every time she left me, every time she saw me, she goes, I want you to know that I see you and I appreciate you.
Wow.
And I was like, how in the world have I been in this business for so long? And the hearing I appreciate you is the first time I've heard this.
Yeah.
Like, what a powerful word.
That is.
Now, I would have done anything for Amy Jones.
Yeah.
And this woman is still powerful to say, and I love and adore her. But when you talk about gratitude, if you can appreciate the things that people do for you and appreciate where you're at. Now, gratitude is not just a simple act of saying thank you and I appreciate you. It's being appreciative of where you are at the given moment. Right. And so if you can have gratitude for where you are in the good times and in the bad, and take upon those struggles and you learn from them and you make something of them, it's such a powerful opportunity.
It really is.
So what interesting things are you working on today that's bringing you a lot of excitement? And
A lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Personally, I went through a lot of stress, a lot of trying to understand who I was. And in the last couple of years, it's just constantly trying to understand where I am and who I am. And as I said, the things I talk about are things I personally struggle with. I have 2 little girls.
Yeah.
Jensen is 2 and
excuse me.
Harper's 5.
Okay.
And I love
the names.
Love being a girl dad.
Yeah.
Kobe had kind of, coined the term girl dad. And it's such a life-changing thing. And, how I got into running was actually because of Harper, because I wanted to be around to see her grow up. I was significantly overweight at the time and running was free. But something that I'm working on right now, as I said, we love to read books to my little girls. And so I threw it out in the world. I'm a huge believer that no matter what you do, you put it out publicly. Now, I can't put it out on Facebook because I don't have it, but I put it out on LinkedIn.
He's not on Facebook,
Yeah.
y'all. Don't
Not
try
on
to tag
Facebook.
him
Yeah,
here.
don't tag me.
Instagram or
No
tweet?
Instagram, nothing.
Okay, just LinkedIn.
Just LinkedIn. Just find me
LinkedIn.
there. But I had put it out into the world that I am going to write a children's book. I'm going to put it out in 2021. Now, you had a date where you wanted to put your book out.
Yep.
The date that I want to put my book out is Harper's birthday, which is, it's in August. So I'm going to put it out in August. Now, I know her birthday, it's the 10th, but I'm not going to say it's the 10th. I'm just going to put it that month, right?
Yep.
But my book, I had thrown it out in the world and said I was going to do it without really knowing what the book was going to be about. I just knew I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to give a legacy to my little girls. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to borrow the idea of the Berenstain Bears because we watch the DVDs, we read the books. They have a powerful message. They're great. They've been around a long time. So I thought maybe I could do an updated version of the Berenstain Bears. And so the world drops in front of you amazing people all of the time. You just have to pay attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I had been dropped in front of me a gal by the name of Sue Publicover, who was just an amazing woman, and she is a ghostwriter. And so I started talking to her, and how we connected was she actually reached out to me to write a letter of recommendation for a gal that I knew in Oklahoma City. And we started talking because I just love to talk to people. And I said, have you ever written a children's book? She said, I have. I've written children's books. I've written 800-page biographies. I can do it all. And I said, can we do a Zoom call together? And so we just completely fell in love with each other. And she said, you know what? I feel like I was meant to meet you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to push you to do this book. Well, 2 weeks ago, we had our first big talk, and I was not really loving the content that I was coming up with. I said, I'm just not really feeling it. And I was supposed to present to her 5 character sketches, full 1 to 2 pages per character, and explain to her what the book was going to look like. So I don't sleep a lot. That's one of the habits I have. But your husband probably doesn't. Maybe he does. I don't know. But when
He
you're
doesn't
training
sleep
for
a
an
lot.
Ironman or you're doing anything, you work out twice a day, you're not sleeping. And so I'd woken up at 5 o'clock that morning, and I was going through pictures of my little girls and videos of my little girls. I was like, I got to find some inspiration to get me going. And it hit me. One of my best friends, his name is Chad Sanchagran, and he is a public speaker, author. He travels the world. He's a motivator. He's got a podcast. He's everywhere. He's a beast of a 6'8" human. Just amazing. And you guys got to have him on your show.
Yes,
But
sir.
he's got 2 twin-year-old little girls. And he taught me way back in the day when Harper was young, you have an obligation to those 2 girls to make sure that they grow up to be the most powerful women you can make them.
Yes.
And absolutely. So I said, well, how do you do that with yours? And he said, I started young, and I asked him the question, do you know why Dad loves you? Now, people have heard this for years. It's on the movie The Help and the book and everything like that. And he said, but make sure it has nothing to do with their beauty. I said, okay. So I asked Harper, and I have it on video, and I wish I could show it to you because it's absolutely adorable.
Listen,
And
ladies.
I said, Harper, why does Daddy love you? And her first thing was because I eat my broccoli. And I started to laugh, and I was like, Dad loves you. Yes, you eat your broccoli. That's adorable.
Oh.
Why does Daddy love you? Because I give good hugs. Harper, you give the best hugs.
Yeah.
But that's not why Daddy loves you. Harper, why does Daddy love you? Because I'm beautiful. Okay, she said the one thing that I didn't really want her to say. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. Both my little girls are stunning. Yeah. And they know that, and I tell them that, but I don't want their self-worth to fall upon them. So I said, Harper, Daddy's going to teach you why I love you. And it's because you're smart, you're powerful, you're brave, you're kind, you're awesome. Right? And so these 5 things. And then when her little sister was born, we added, and I'm a great big sister. Now, at the age of 3, you have no idea what any of those words mean, but she can rattle them off. I'm smart, brave, powerful, kind, great big sister, all the time, right? And so now as she's 5, she has to understand what those words mean. She knows what it means to be a powerful woman. She knows what it means to be a brave woman. She knows what it means to be a kind woman. And what I'm basically trying to do is build her self-worth into understanding what it's going to be like to be all things. Now, I take Harper and Jensen to school most days, and I always say, Harper, go beat all the boys in your classroom. And I say being smart is cool. And these things that typically, because I have a younger sister that's extremely gorgeous, and I've seen women in this career, and home building is dominated by men, but you see women, and it is oftentimes a struggle.
Yes.
Well, I want my little girls to come in and beat everybody. Just like anybody wants their little girls to beat everybody, right? And so it's a strong message. Yeah. So my book, and I'm going to turn this around so I'll share it out, and nobody can steal my idea and be very upset.
Don't put it all out there.
I won't put it all out there. But my book is basically words of wisdom from dads to daughters. Oh, and so you have to have a daughter, right? And I'm going to find you. And I'm not going to say too much because it's going to come out in August. But it's just a message of dads to little girls, and it's to build confidence upon them, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be done in a cartoon-like format, because my little girl, her nickname was always Jensen Bear, and then we have Harper Hair, so you're going to have a bear and a hare, and it's going to be awesome, and I'll just be a combination of them both.
This sounds so good. Well, you guys know I'm a daddy's girl, so this just really hits deep to my heart, and you can see, for the podcast listeners, you're not going to be able to see Chris's face light up in this, but your face just lights up so much as you talk about your beautiful girls.
Yeah. They're amazing. And it's
you're leaving a legacy.
Yeah, it's the reason why we all wake up, right? To leave a mark.
When you shared that, when we had a phone conversation, it's ironic because the next day my devotional had everything to do with leaving our children, our grandchildren, and their children and grandchildren some form of legacy. And it had to do with story writing. And I almost shared that with you, and I should have.
I would have loved that.
Yeah. So it's true. Whatever we can leave behind for our children's children's. I think I did put that in the LinkedIn message to you. So, but it's wonderful.
But it's the connections that we make that make us grateful for what we have. And I think the only thing that we really need to do in life is just open our eyes a little bit wider and see all of the amazing things around us, because we have so much to be grateful for.
We do.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad things may be, as a sales leader in the organization, typically if things get to me, they're not good, right? And so I could look at it as one of two ways. I could look at it as a burden, or I can look at it as an opportunity. And it's an opportunity. And I want to share one more story with you, and I don't know if we're on any sort of a time crunch or not, but we had a situation at work that led me to take care of a particular homeowner personally with a realtor. And I didn't have any issue with that. Absolutely. This is how I make my money, right? If it wasn't for people buying our houses, I wouldn't be employed. My little girls could not go to school. I could not drive my car. And so absolutely, I'm going to take care of this. And the husband, and I'll keep names out of it, but the husband sent me a text message. He said, my wife has never lived in a home before. I want you to know what this means to us, what this means to me to provide her this home. Please, whatever you do, take really good care of us. And I loved that. And I said, absolutely, I'm going to take the best care of you. Now, I had my little girls over the weekend. It was a couple weekends ago, and he sent me a message. He said, I'd really like for you to meet us in the house and walk through with us. And I said, sure, give me a time during the week. And he's like, well, the week doesn't work for me. It's got to be on the weekend. Now, I guard my time with my little girls fiercely.
That's your family time.
And that is one of those things that I just was not excited about. And I kind of got angry with the situation. I was like, I got to drive an hour to get there, an hour to get back. I know it's going to be an hour. That's significant time away from my two little girls. But then I took a step back, and I realized that I needed to be appreciative of the fact that I even have somebody to go drive and talk to. So I go out there, I clear my mindset, and I'm going out there very appreciative. And I walk in, and the first person I meet is the wife. And she's adorable, super sweet. And she said, "Are you Mr. Chris?" And I said, "I am." I said, "You can just call me Chris. You know, I'm not that old. But yes, I'm Chris." And she said, "I'm so happy you're in our new home." And I said, "Well, I'm happy to be here." And she said, "Did my husband tell you that I've never lived in a home before?" And I said, "You know what was so amazing is the second conversation I ever had with your husband, he let me know that I need to do everything possible not to screw this up because this is your first home." And of course, that made him look like a hero in front of her. Yeah. And she was so grateful by it. Now, we were walking the house and she was telling me that she had never, her parents were immigrants, she had never lived in a house, always an apartment. And what it meant to her to have a house where all of her siblings and her cousins could come and hang out. And I got to see where the TV was going. And I literally know everything there is to know about this house. But they were so appreciative of the fact that they had an opportunity to buy a home. So in today's home building world, and all the things that we keep hearing is price increases and people are struggling to buy because they're waiting in line and all this stuff. Well, costs are increases is why the prices are increases. But my own personal sales team, after so many prices, literally hitting a price increase like every week. Now, it's not for greed. It's because construction costs are going up. So we need to raise the price of homes to get to where we need to be just to keep in business. But my team was just feeling very deflated. And we were taking a significant price increase. This was literally 2 weeks ago on a Monday. And I had my other sales manager, Meredith, was going to be given the sales meeting. I said, "I need you to do me a favor. Can I please do the meeting on Monday?" And she said, "Sure, whatever you need to do, that's not a problem." And so I started out the meeting and I said, "Guys," I said, "you know, I was sitting with my little girl, Harper, and we were coloring, which is one of our favorite things to do." And she looked up to me and said, "Dad, I love our house and I love my room and I'm so excited to be here." And it hit me where I was like, wow, what a cool thing. What a really cool thing to mean to me. And then that was before I went to go visit the homeowner that I went to go visit. And I saw how much home meant to them. And then so I had a question to my team and I said, "Let me ask you guys a question. Before we get started today, I'm going to tell you a story about what Harper said to me about loving where we live and what this couple said to me about loving where they live. And let me ask you on the team, you know, you guys have dreams and you have goals and you have motivations." And I went across the room and I said, "Can you tell me what having a home means to you?" And so they kept going across the room and it was like, one of my sales girls was closing on her house for the first time on a Tuesday. This was a Monday. Her 4-year-old had never lived in a house. She goes, "I can't wait for my 4-year-old to have a backyard." Another one of my sales girls, I asked the question, I said, "What does it mean to you?" And she said, "It means I'm an adult because my family's going to be so proud of me. And I can't wait to have wine and all this other kind of stuff." And so we went around the room and we understood what having a home meant to somebody. And I said, "Let me ask you guys this. Everybody is concerned with price increases and things going up." I said, "But do you think your goals and your dreams change if something is $50 more or $100 more or $200 more?"
No, price doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You need to stop thinking about the number and think about the mission.
The value.
Because people always want to make their life better. And there is no better time than today. And you can tie that to mental health. You can tie that to happiness. You can tie it to anything. There's no better time than today to make your life better. And so when that message got out to the team, they're like, wow, a $7,000 price increase doesn't really seem that bad now, right? $35 a month, is that going to stop me from selling homes? No, because they end up selling 10 houses that day. So it just goes to show you that mindset is everything. And if you can be appreciative for where you are, I truly believe I have the coolest job ever. I get to sell people houses that dreams are made. Memories are made. Kids go to school, kids have their first talks, their first walks, their first proms. Like, what a cool job.
Memories are made in those homes.
It's amazing.
It's creating so many possibilities as well.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good stuff,
Chris.
Thanks.
Very good.
I can talk about it all day. What other topic you want to hit?
So if people want to learn more about you, they want to get more information about KHOV, how can we reach you?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn more information about KHOV, it's just khov.com. I can only be found on LinkedIn. I don't even know what my LinkedIn handle is, but just look up Chris Hartley. You can find me.
No E in Hartley.
So Hartley. But I respond to everybody, and I talk to so many different people every single week. And
you got a good circle of
I just
connections.
love it.
Good
I love
people.
talking to people. So
Great.
just like you
Well, we're
guys.
excited to see your book. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
August.
I appreciate it.
August of
It's
2021.
happening in August.
Yeah.
I'll do my Ironman in November.
Yeah.
Check to see if I make it or not, but I will make it. It may be ugly, but I'm going to finish it. I will
Okay.
finish it.
When's November what?
November 21st,
Okay, so when are you leaving out?
probably the 18th.
Okay, because
Yeah.
our Veterans Appreciation is November the 16th.
I'll make it.
Okay.
I'll make it. I will
Okay,
be
good.
there.
We'll get you a good hearty meal.
Yes.
And then you'll be fueled up for
Yeah.
Yep.
Ironman. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
I
We
really
really
appreciate it.
appreciate it. You've inspired us and encouraged
Yes.
us both in mindset and in gratitude.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today.
You can find our show anywhere you get podcasts, also on my channel on pray.com, on Awaken Podcast Network. We're also there, and then also on Life Network for Women. We broadcast there every Tuesday. So be sure to tune in wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you.
Thanks.